call them pretty mid-level bands, like working shows anywhere from 200 to 1,000 capacity rooms.
Yeah.
So they do pretty well.
So mum and dad split up and you found that you were depressed even as a child. Good evening, Australia. Welcome to the show. Tough times never last, but tough people too. True too. Isn't that true? I'm Michael Kuzilny. Thank you very much for watching. And it's perfectly okay to stumble every now and then. I always say to my clients, I'm a criminal defence lawyer, that, we're all perfectly imperfect. We're all masterpieces in progress. And I always think the people who think they're perfect and who want a perfect life, always the ones who have breakdowns and fall apart because, unfortunately, life doesn't always conform to our wishes. So I think the best way to live is to live in daytime compartments, just today, just tonight, and forget about the past and don't spend too much time on the future. A beautiful, authentic lady on the couch. She's got very good vibes. Lucy Hind. She's been through a series of troubles. Mum and Dad split up when she was 5. Dad had an affair. Then she had a brain tumour, God bless her, which is still there. And then all sorts of things. And thanks very much for your authenticity, Lucy. That's amazing. You even, you're so authentic that you say, even in your email to us, that there was a sugar daddy and this guy who was 30 years older than you, and it was an affair that lasted how long?
About 6 months.
6 months.
And it really only ended because I moved to Melbourne. I do still talk to him and see him from time to time when he's here.
But, I mean, the age difference doesn't matter that much. Was there love there?
I wouldn't say love, not on my part, but we got along really well. Like, it was more an emotional support for me. Like, the
emotional
financial thing
support
came into it, but he was very supportive of the things I wanted to do, and I needed that.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did you meet him?
There's different websites for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of started as a joke between me and a friend, and I was just like, I reckon I could do this, see what happens. And I think within a month we had entered into an arrangement.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. They're a very different world that I was so new to.
Very different world, but that's interesting. But thanks for sharing. But look, when you were 5, Mum and Dad split up. You grew up in Perth, Lucy. Yep. And Dad was seeing a therapist for his...
Yeah, he had post-traumatic stress after being in the Navy and going to Rwanda.
Right.
Yeah, so...
What was he in the Navy? Was he pretty high up?
He was a medic.
He was a medic?
Yeah, and he was also in the Army Reserves as well.
Was he a sleazebag?
Can't remember.
No. But
no,
you think he had an affair with his therapist, didn't he?
He did, yeah. My mum ended up giving them her blessing, and she was just like, you're obviously in love with this woman, go and be with her. So.
Do you think because he was away all the time, Lucy, that maybe the relationship had reached an expiry date?
I guess so. They met and married within 8 months, but were together for 11 years. So that's...
So Mum and Dad split up, and then how was school?
School, I hated it.
You hated it?
I left after year 10 to study music and, never went back.
Wow. Music's always been your passion, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been pretty much the only thing I care about.
And the great Lucy Hind, she's a tour manager. So she's come from Perth to Melbourne recently. She's sorted out a lot of things in her life, but she likes Melbourne, and she's starting to really get some great jobs coming in. She went to see Guns N' Roses last February, and I was there too. And that's your ambition to manage big bands. But at the moment, you're managing... all sorts of bands.
Yeah, I work with, I guess I would call them pretty mid-level bands, like working shows anywhere from 200 to 1,000 capacity rooms.
Yeah.
So they do pretty well.
So Mum and Dad split up and you found that you were depressed even as a child?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then there was one stage you say, Lucy, where you had the you didn't go out and socialise, sort of in your teens when most kids go out. You had your bottle of whiskey in your room.
I did, yeah. I guess me and my siblings all started drinking young. It was pretty normal in my family, and became a closet alcoholic, and no one knew for a really long time. So by the time I was 17, I was drinking a litre of whiskey a night.
A litre of whiskey? What time did you start? I mean, what age did you start?
The first time I drank, I was 13, but I didn't start drinking regularly until about 15, 16.
Wow, just trying to escape
Yeah, at the time I
many
didn't
problems.
know that though. It was just something to do.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to think about how much pain I was in all the time, whether emotionally or physically.
Yeah.
Help me sleep.
Where did that pain come from, Lucy?
I guess a lot of it was to do with my parents, like the breakdown in their marriage. I was never really close to my siblings. Didn't feel that I had a lot of friends, and then getting sick and finding out I had a brain tumor as well. That was
God bless
really
you,
hard to deal
darling.
with.
What age was that when you had the brain tumour?
I was 14.
14, and
Yeah.
what, just started having headaches?
Yeah, headaches, excessive thirst, couldn't sleep, couldn't eat properly. That all went on for a couple of months.
And you probably thought it had something to do with the whiskey.
No, I didn't even make that connection.
No.
It was more after that I started drinking.
Right.
Yeah, because I didn't want to admit to myself that I wasn't dealing with it.
So they did a scan at a hospital in Perth, was it?
Yeah, I remember being in emergency for about 11 hours doing all these different tests, and then they finally did a CT scan. And I actually knew it was already there. I said to someone a few days before, I have a brain tumour. And they're like, oh, don't say that. I was like, no, something's not right. I can feel something. I know it's there. And when they got the results from the scan, I actually heard them on the phone before they told me. So I was able to mentally prepare myself before they told me, but my mum didn't hear that, unfortunately.
So can you, what were the words from the medical practitioner when they told you? What did they say? We're sorry to tell you, but...
I can't remember exactly.
No.
I think I was in shock, but I knew that everyone around me was going to take it really hard, so I knew that I had to be the strong one.
Yeah.
So I just made a joke of everything.
Suppose straight away, folks, and I know there's a lot of people watching who may have brain tumours who haven't got long to go, or maybe it's just sitting there. But I've had a few friends who've passed away from brain tumours. But the first thing we think when we're diagnosed with a medical condition is death. When will death come and take us away? And that was on your mind straight away, wasn't it? How long have I got?
No, it was more what's going to happen.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, because in the days after the diagnosis, I had surgery quite quickly. They told me only 150 people ever had that type of tumour, so they didn't know anything about it.
Oh.
It's not cancer, thankfully, but they're like, we can't remove it. We don't know why it's there. We can't tell you anything. So, 10 years later, I've never really been given an answer.
They were surgery?
I had surgery and they took a biopsy, but they couldn't actually take it out.
Oh, how big is it?
Yeah. I can't remember, but it's right on the top of the pituitary gland, which controls all of the hormones.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's still there?
Still there, yeah.
Amazing. Thanks for coming on the show and being so real. And I love your smile and love your smile, viewers. Enjoy yourself. And the great lady Lucy will be back very shortly. She's a lovely and authentic lady. Back shortly. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Michael Kuzilny. Tough times never last, and we've had some people watching the show for many, many years. Love and best wishes to you. Thank you for being so kind and all your kind emails from around Australia. Isn't it amazing how so many people are going through difficult times now, and they should really teach kids at school that life is not always going to be rosy, that life comes with a mixture of 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows, because that's what it is, isn't it? A Buddhist monk one time in Bali told me, and I've been there many, many times because the people are so kind and so authentic. I've been there about 40 times to Bali, but I went to meditate once on a temple there, and he says, Michael, in Western society, all so crazy. It's all about more chasing money, more ego, more fame. And he said, nobody's happy, no one's smiling. And he said, look at all the people here, they're all smiling. But he told me, what did he say? He said that, we should just all be a bit more authentic. That's so true, isn't it?
It is. It's very
Actually, I made that up. I can't remember what the monk told me. Sometimes I forget what we're going to say, don't we?
I think more people need to be authentic. Everyone's
what
lying
did
to
the monk
themselves.
tell me? I think he told me about the mind. I think he told me about that most of us in Western society are chasing, but we're really happy. That And he also said that once you're dead, he said there will be no problems. I think what the message was is that life is always full of problems and failure, and we've got to get through it. But you're a perfect example. I mean, God, you've gone through the drinking one bottle of whiskey a night to the brain tumour. And in the break, Lucy was funny enough to say, I said, what happened then? She goes, I just drank a lot and slept around a lot. And there was a lot of one-night stands, Lucy.
Yeah, there's a few of those. A lot of affairs.
Yeah.
Kind of just comes naturally.
Comes naturally. And most people wouldn't complain about that.
Not in my experience.
No. And you say a lot of people had fiancés, wives or girlfriends, and shows me society isn't that like they used to be in the 60s. Do you think?
Yeah, I think in this day and age, it's so much easier to meet people discreetly, and with social media, people make their lives look so much different to how it actually is. Like a lot of the people that I know who have had affairs, you would never guess.
No.
Like they seem like the perfect partner, so loving, but then they end up in a hotel room with someone else, and it's not love. It's just two people connecting.
It's sexual excitement. So people would say to you, look, I've got a wife at home, but I really like you. Let's go and make love.
Yeah. Well,
and you'd say, okay.
Depending on who it was, if the connection was there.
And it's quite true, folks, isn't it? And probably a lot of thousands watching, you've probably had affairs and you probably enjoyed it, but it all comes back to bite you, doesn't it? And it's amazing, I went to the Gold Coast last year, and there's a whole row now, all nudie bars. You walk into what used to be the saloon bar and good pubs where you could have a Corona now, all nudie bars, and a lot more brothels, and King Street in Melbourne, just one strip bar after the next. And, of course, all the married men go there, and quite a few of them that go to the brothel top of the town, and they have sex with other people.
Yeah, and then I think a lot of people have different ideas of what it means to be faithful. Like a lot of people think that coming home to the same person is being faithful, and they don't see that having sex with someone else is a problem. Like for women, in my experience, the emotional connection is considered an affair. For men, it's the physical thing.
Oh, I see.
So if they have an intimate relationship with someone that's not physical, they don't find that as a problem, but their partner might think it might.
Right.
Yeah.
It's confusing, isn't it?
It is confusing. But I mean, I don't see a problem with it. I understand why people feel the need to connect. And, a lot of people would have bad judgment of me for that, but I don't care.
Do you think sometimes the concept of marriage is a bit outdated?
Definitely, yeah.
Do you think it might be a bit outdated, folks? There's in good times and in bad times, and then you spend your entire life with somebody. I just get the a feeling that no man and woman is supposed to spend the entire life together from childhood sweethearts until they're 90. I just don't think it works. It might have years ago. When life was a bit more simple, but I don't know what's happened. But it's almost. I think in 50 years' time. The concept of marriage will probably dissolve.
Yeah, I agree. Like, look at how often people change their careers. It would make sense to change partners as well. Like, you go through different stages of life. Yeah. It's not always possible that the same person is able to be there for you.
No, that's so true. That's so true, Lucy. Lucy, at one stage you wanted to take your life. You just had enough, and what did you do?
I took, I think it was something like a couple of hundred prescription painkillers that I knew I was allergic to. Downed it with whiskey and just went to sleep hoping that I wouldn't wake up.
Wow. How old were you then?
I was 17.
Isn't that amazing? And life got so bad.
Yeah.
You thought it did?
I wasn't dealing with my own problems. I refused to accept responsibility for my own emotions.
Isn't it amazing?
And that was my wake-up call. That was what made me realise that I was the only person that was capable of changing my life.
And it sounds like you didn't get much support, People...
Yeah, I think a lot of people around me at the time didn't know how to relate to me. So like now I go out of my way to find a reason to relate to people so that I can empathise with them.
And it's so important, folks, isn't it? When I go to the courts, I go to a different court every single day, Broadmeadows, Dandenong, Frankston, Sunshine, Moorabbin, Ringwood. But wherever I go, I try to inspire people, even when there's victims there of domestic violence, I go up and say hello and make sure their baby's okay. It doesn't hurt to just give a bit of a smile. There's so many people going through their own issues, and it's almost they make their own problems a central theme in their minds. And quite a few people are quite selfish and they forget to acknowledge other people. But just put your own problems aside for a while and really become selfless and turn that spotlight onto the other person and see all the great things that will happen in your life. So just go through the next 7 days. I'll give you a night to think about it, and just don't think about yourself too much. Don't think about yourself, your problems, your relationship, your money, your career. Just inquire what's happening in other people's minds, and try to smile a lot more, even if you're suffering. Just smile and just feel the emotions change when you smile. You can't smile and have anxiety in your mind at the same time, can you?
True.
Let's smile. You're a lovely person. So we've got the sugar daddy, we've got the suicide, got the brain tumour, and you're still here.
Yeah, all for the rock and roll.
Wow. Sex, drugs and rock and roll, but there weren't many drugs, were there?
There wasn't many.
We might talk about the tour after the next break, but we'll be back very shortly. Thank you very much for watching. Lucy Hind's a lovely lady, down to earth, friendly, authentic, not pretentious at all, so genuine. There's so many people I meet every day, they tell you how much they own or what they do, but rarely do you find the real person. Lucy was saying she does a lot of meditation, and it really has amazing benefits. I've been meditating for 20 years, and I wouldn't leave home without doing it. It's sort of almost like a spiritual armor. What does it do? It gives you a sense of clarity. It calms your mind. It gives you a clear mind, and it gives you some sort of spiritual resilience when difficult things happen. You sort of just tend to get through it a lot easier. Do you find that?
Yeah, I find that it's a very good way to get in touch with yourself and to really find out what it is that you want.
Yeah.
To stay balanced, to be able to look at things from, like, removing yourself from a situation rather than being caught up in your own thoughts. Yeah,
it's like some refer to having a bath for the mind, It's and really, when you think about it, Lucy, it's like a neck-top computer, isn't it? We're getting all these thoughts and all these ideas, and we're checking our stupid phone 50 times a day, and the internet, and we're trying to find shit we don't even know what we're looking for. But if we don't clear all that junk out, we're going to be nervous freaks. We're going to be a freak show. That's see people all the time. You talk to them, and they're thinking these turbulent minds, and you can really tell when somebody meditates. Like Lucy's got beautiful vibes. We're on the same wavelength, and she's calm. She's really got to know herself, which is so important. A lot of people have got so much junk in their minds. Their minds become so slimy that all they do is work and collect more money for the mortgage, and at the end of the day they die, and they forgot to have fun along the way. But you've had a lot of fun.
I have had a lot of fun.
You've partied and rock and roll, absolute what's that movie called?
Almost Famous.
Almost Famous.
Yeah, I've had a few people call me Penny Lane. I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not, but yeah, have a lot of fun.
Penny, tell me about the toxic relationships. There've been a few, haven't there?
Yeah.
That's before you found yourself.
No, this is on the way to finding myself. It taught me a lot about myself.
Yeah.
Like, I think I had to deal with a lot of, I guess, emotional abuse that I didn't realize I was kind of inflicting on myself by being with certain people.
Yeah.
And there was one particular relationship that lasted for about 3 years too long, in my opinion, before I actually woke up and realised I was better off being single.
Why was that? Domestic violence?
No.
Emotional?
Yeah, just playing mind games, really.
Yeah.
Like wanting to be there but not being there.
Yeah.
And like he was away on tour a lot.
Oh.
Nothing new to me. But
was he screwing around, do you think, while on tour?
Yeah. About a year into that relationship, he actually started dating someone else. And then we kept seeing each other. And I was very jealous of her, so I think I played a huge part in their relationship ending.
Yeah.
But we're past it now. He's with someone else. We're good friends. We work together.
Oh, good.
Yeah, got through it eventually. We still have our ups and downs, especially when we tour together. We can want to strangle each other sometimes. But
But isn't it funny, folks, even if you've gone through a breakup or you've separated, you're going through a separation at the moment, we might separate, but we still fell in love with that person, and there was something special about your soulmate when you met them. So I think it's really important to go through that grieving and through that turmoil, but don't be a bitch and don't be a prick once it's all ended. So many people, they backstab, that bitch, that slut, that bastard, all that poison all comes back to bite you on the ass. We still have to be compassionate and kind and gentle when we speak about exes, because we just have to think about the nice holidays we had, You've made love to them, you've kissed them, and you fell in love with those people and you've lived with them. So just because you couldn't get your shit together, one of the two, still means, we get over our crap and, still show kindness. Still, and what you say is right. Let's be friends. No need to argue.
I think it's good to be able to look back on a relationship and understand the lessons that it brought you and really
understand the lessons.
And so many people end up in the same relationship time and time again because they're refusing to learn. They don't want to confront themselves.
And we were talking before in the break about the law of attraction. And I think if you are sort of if you believe that you can get somebody and it's like girls who get abused, they attract person who will abuse them again.
Yeah. Like for me personally, like my dad was never there. I have a habit of attracting people that leave, or I'm the one that leaves.
Oh. And it's a shame.
I can see that.
All you wanted is a bit of love and a hug, and that's what we all want, folks, isn't it? We come here to love and to be loved. An old lady said to me one day, I represented her for a seatbelt fine. She was about 93. I got off it, was dismissed. But she said to me, and she just smiled and she said, Michael, I said, what's the secret of success? And she said, a life that soon is past, only what's done with love will last. She was Canadian, and she said, and that's so true, isn't it? All that other nonsense doesn't matter. Your degrees, the money, your obsessions, your footy teams, all that crap. At the end of the day, it's the love you've given and the love you've given back. Even if you have split up with somebody, you still had a beautiful love there. So, show gratitude for those past relationships, because they're beautiful people, and more people will come in and out of your life. And friends change, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
But what you said before is great. Meditation, we turn loneliness into aloneness. Because we do have to remember we come here naked by ourselves and we leave naked by ourselves.
In the end, you don't have anyone but yourself. If you're not kind to yourself, who can you be kind to? Simple as that. If you take the time to pay attention to your own thoughts and how you speak to yourself, you will want to be a better person.
You're so right.
Like, I never realised how much I hated myself until I took the time to do that, and now I would never say a bad thing about myself, ever.
No, I certainly wouldn't. I think you're a terrific person, a first-class professional, funny, good-looking, successful. You're going to be very successful. But I think the problem with society, we've got so many knockers, backstabbers, critics, judging, categorising. Rarely does a person come up to you and say, hey, Lucy, hey, Michael, hey, Harris, just be the way you are. You're terrific, Not many people try to change you and mould you at school, at work, and, everywhere. You've got to be like this and you've got to be like part of the crowd. But I really think it's the originals, that the people who break away from the crowd, who have the most fun in life.
I think if you can look at other people and realise that they are a reflection of you, whether it's good qualities or bad qualities, you will learn to treat people better. Like, instead of looking at someone saying, you're the problem, you're the reason that I feel bad, like, okay, what is it about this person that I'm not acknowledging within myself? Like, what do I need to address?
Great advice, Lucy. Thank you very much for coming on the show, my spiritual sister. And thank you very much for watching, folks. Love and best wishes. God bless you. And keep that big smile on your face. Remember, positive attitude, positive outcomes. We'll see you next week. Good night.